On this episode of Roadtrip Masters, we cruise into a town that's considered Coast Guard USA.
Then head over to a brewery that's a Michigan legend.
We'll chomp down on some chicken towers, get lost in a blueberry heaven,
And see some fountains that pack a serious punch.
so sit back, relax, and let us do the driving
Right here on Roadtrip Masters.
I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer.
We're teachers that have a passion for travel.
Cruising the highways and byways in our 1968 drop-top caddy.
We discover the places and people that make this nation great. We are Road Trip Masters. This week, we're traveling to the popular Lake Michigan beach town of Grand Haven. Nestled at the base of the Grand River, this town was originally established as a fur trading outpost. Grand Haven's economic development has evolved over time, from lodging and lumber mills in the late 19th century to the industrial growth and expansion of the early 20th century. Today, this Michigan town stands as a premier tourist destination with its big, beautiful beaches, historic charm, and small-town feel. Grand Haven is sure to leave a lasting impression. With the sun shining and the caddy gleaming, Brian and I decided to make our first stop with a fearless group that calls this strip home, the United States Coast Guard. All right, Brian, here we are. I'm going to say U.S. Coast Guard Station, Grand Haven. Is that correct, Master Chief?
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about the Coast Guard. Why in Grand Haven? What's your mission, basically?
Search and rescue is primary mission, and then we move on to some safety boat checks or a law enforcement mission, which is to prevent a search and rescue before it happens.
Take us through the day-to-day operations of the Coast Guard.
So we've got two duty crews, so you got kind of a firehouse duty. They're standing crews ready to go with kind of a boat sitting right over there, ready to go if there's any emergency.
Now, Master Chief, the station here at Grand Haven has a special title, Coast Guard City, USA. Why was it given that title?
There's a long, tight history between Grand Haven City and the actual Coast Guard. It dates back to the life-saving service. When this town began, there was a lot of interest on the water. At times, storms would come through and there would be people in peril or boats in peril. But throughout that time, there was such a connection between the Coast Guard and the community. 98, actually, Congress made it official where this is the Coast Guard City, USA. There are 20 Coast Guard cities since, but this is the original and this is where all began.
Master Chief McKay and his squad dedicate endless amounts of time protecting Grand Haven and its community. It was time for Brian and I to hit the water with Chief Petty Officer Pryor to see how him and his team tackle drills to get the job done. Man overboard drill, Brian. I'm excited. Apparently they get it done in 3 minutes or less. We're gonna see. That's when Oscar, the sacrificial lamb, got tossed into the drink. Then Chief Petty Officer Pryor steered us into a heavy weather turn that kicked the crew into high gear. God, I'm nervous. I got like a lump in my throat. I do. I think my heart's pounding. All right, make it our pro! Oscar is in. 1 minute and 20 in the rescue. Chief, that was fast. 1:20.
We try to practice, we try to get better. Sometimes we race each other to get the best time,
Chief Petty Officer Pryor and his team couldn't have impressed Brian and I more. This Coast Guard facility holds a seriously talented crew. Grand Haven is surely in good hands with this team around, and it's clear as day that this city loves them. For us, it was back to land, walking away, honored to be among such a dedicated and heroic program. After catching up with the men and women over at Grand Haven's Best, we decided to swing over to the Toasted Pickle, a local spot worth raving about. and everyone in town agrees that this place is a must for a sandwich that tastes even better than it looks. And oh boy, do they look good.
I'm back here with Chef Matt. Chef, I caught you at the worst time, dinner time, so you guys got a lot of things going on, but I heard you had something special for us today.
Yep, we're working on our Nashville Hottie. It's gonna be a chicken sandwich. We're gonna make a couple sauces here that we always make in-house. Get it all together so you can see what it looks like.
Great, where do we start?
We're gonna start here with our Hottie sauce. So I've got a little bit of liquid butter here. I've also got some honey and a few different spices that I kind of mixed up ahead of time. So we're gonna go in with that.
Now, Chef, when you say hottie sauce, on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being unbearable, what are we talking?
Honestly, I'd put it at like a 6. It balances out really well with all the honey that's in there, so you get a little bit of heat, but quite a bit of sweet as well. But overall, the sandwich has so many kind of sweet or creamy ingredients that it doesn't come out too hot. It comes out, I think, really well balanced. All right, so that's that one. So we're moving into our Serrano crema. This is a nice, quick, easy one. Anybody can kind of do this. We got a little bit of sour cream here in our container. We're coming in with some mayonnaise, some fresh Serrano peppers with some of the seeds left in for a little bit of the heat, and then just a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's everything that goes in there.
And back to the blender.
Pull out our nice big blender here. Everything on this sandwich we're doing here is made in-house, except for the bun and the pickles. A little bit of heat, a little bit of sugar, and that's kind of the theme of this whole sandwich.
All right, so now we have our 2 sauces made. What's next?
We're gonna move on to building the sandwich. So the first thing I'm gonna do is grab my chicken. I'm sorry, I forgot it in the back room. Well, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna throw our sandwich together. So we got a couple of our chicken breasts here that we bred in-house with a little bit of buffalo-style hot sauce in the batter. So they've got a little bit of heat to them. We're gonna drop those right in our deep fryer. While we're getting our bun ready, we're gonna throw that right on the grill with a little bit of butter. Let that crisp up nice. It gives a nice texture balance to the sandwich. Kind of helps soak up some of the sauce. Makes it a little less messy, though it can still be a messy sandwich. That's half the fun of it. But that's gonna complement our sauces, our coleslaw. As soon as that's done, we're gonna put this together. I think our bun is ready. Bring this over to our tray. The first thing we're throwing on here is the Serrano crema, the crema that we just made a minute ago. Then we're gonna go on with our nice hot chicken. The next step is some of our Nashville Hottie sauce. As it warms up, it soaks down into that chicken breading and kind of all marries together just perfectly. These are those sweet hot pickles. This creates the halfway point of the sandwich.
The halfway point.
It's tall. One more piece of chicken on top of there. A little bit more of that Nashville Hottie sauce. Both the chickens get it. Some of our house-made coleslaw right on top of that. The top of our bun here. And our signature is a nice big pickle spear right on top.
Chef, you said you had something special for us, and you truly do. But can you make one more for my buddy Nick?
Of course I will.
Chef Matt was a man of his word. The team at the Toasted Pickle knew how to make a sandwich that packed a mean punch. Along with good eats, they also served up lemonade beverages made from scratch. This place was truly worth talking about. The Grand Haven region is filled with beautiful spots to stay. But with Brian and I as educators, we thought it'd be best to hunker down at Camp Logic, a camp resting along the shores of Lake Michigan, and its goal, giving back to the Grand Haven community. The camp's owner, Rick, and his team spend summer after summer with underprivileged youths, making sure they have the opportunity to enjoy what Lake Michigan has to offer. Rick, Camp Logic, out here in Michigan, what can you tell me about the history?
Yeah, well, we were established here on this property in 1921, and it started out with kids just needing a recreational experience to get out of an orphanage and out to Lake Michigan. Now it has become an opportunity for all kids, but one of our focuses is basically not allowing financial burden to get in the way of kids coming to camp.
So the mission basically is to give, shall we say, underprivileged children a chance to come out to the country.
Yeah, I mean, we aim to serve all kids, that they have a fully diverse experience. So you might have a very affluent child or a suburban or country kid that's with an urban kid, so that they have an experience with somebody maybe they've never walked around with or been in a cabin with.
Now, with Brian and I being teachers, this one hits home.
Yeah.
And this is what it's all about. What are some of the activities that the kids can participate in at Camp Logic.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're totally on board with that. Glad to have teachers out here. You know, we definitely are focused on education, but we want to do it with a fun flavor.
Look at the deer, you guys, look.
Shh. You have archery behind us. We have a rock wall and high ropes experience with a new zip line that we just started. They can swim in Lake Michigan or in the pool. We try to offer lots of amenities where they have both tons of recreation, but some educational touch too.
Rick, as an educator, I love what you got going on here, and thank you for doing what you do.
You bet.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
Brian and I have been hitting the roads for a number of years, traveling state to state in search of some of America's true gems. In Michigan, one spot is mandatory if you're cruising through. A place where brews are the true ruler and flavor is king. Michigan has multiple breweries, but one place takes the craft of liquid gold to a whole other level. Welcome to Founders.
Brian, here we are, the iconic Founders Brewery, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we got Jeremy right here. Jeremy, what are we going to see today? What's going on the floor?
Well, we got a lot of stuff. We're making beer, we're moving beer, packaging beer, and hopefully some people are drinking beer too.
Jeremy, can you take us through the history of Founders?
We opened our doors in 1997. There was only a couple breweries in town at the time. Craft beer was just kind of getting rolling, and we were making your basic beers that people expected at the time. And we kind of started to go down a different path when things like Dirty Bastard and Breakfast Stout started coming out. And those kind of separated us from the pack of all these like more mellow, easy drinking beers. Fast forward to 2007, and we came out with All Day IPA. That really provided the volume boost that created the need for building a new upgraded facility. And our biggest investments we've made has been in the quality department, maintenance department, things that are going to keep our gear working, keep the beer as we intended it, and the consumers appreciate that.
Now, Jeremy, the All Day IPA. A little bird told me that you are the guy responsible for it.
That's true. That was on my watch. That's my baby. I spent a lot of time trying to dial in that recipe. You know, I wanted to have that big hop flavor, but not be too bitter, not be too aggressive, and have the right level of sweetness and dryness on the palate so that you actually do want to, make your way through that 15-pack.
Jeremy and the talented team at Founders clearly put everything they have into the craft of well-balanced beers. And because of that, this company is in high demand. For Brian and I, it was finally time to sit back and enjoy some brews that come poured with the heart and soul from the individuals who stand behind it. All right, Brian, here we washed out to, and I'm excited. Jeremy, What do we got in front of us? What are we going to sample and taste today?
Well, you can see we got a broad range of colors, starting with not much at all. That's our seltzer. So it's got the lime, it's got a little bit of salt in there too, which really helps with the mouthfeel and the body of it.
Oh, yeah. What do we got next, boss?
Well, I believe this would be our famous all-day IPA.
This is your baby right here.
That's right. This one is paying the bills, so they say.
Great beer to have in the summer or the winter, no matter what you're doing.
All right, what's next?
I believe this would be our Frangelic Mountain Brown, which is a imperial brown ale aged with hazelnut coffee.
And last but not least,
well, we have this pink thing here, which I believe we call this our Rubaeus. This is just an American ale with a whole lot of raspberries. So
that's excellent.
Thank you.
Now that one I didn't expect to have the taste that it does. Well, boys, in honor of my father, who was the originator of the IPAs, I'm going to say back in the 70s, he always drank them. Jeremy, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Jeremy.
It was yet again another beautiful day in Grand Haven, A perfect reason to cruise around in the caddy and spend the day outside soaking in the sun. With the weather as good as it was, it made perfect sense to meet up with Tiffany from Blueberry Haven, a local Michigan spot that takes blueberries from the field straight to the kitchen. Tiffany's blueberry products have quite the reputation, and it was time to find out why. All right, Brian, here we are at a blueberry field, but why?
We're gonna talk blueberries. Tiffany, why did you bring us to this first stop?
This is an example of a lot of farms throughout West Michigan. It's about 40 acres, and most of these blueberries here on these bushes are all sold directly to the wholesalers.
Why Michigan?
Well, in Southwest Michigan, we have really sandy beaches and sandy soil, which a lot of people don't know. They grow big and they're really good. And once you've had a Michigan blueberry, you're gonna start looking for it in your grocery store. Actually, Michigan's cultivated blueberry production is about 45% of the nation's blueberry.
I think, Brian, we gotta go out there and get hands-on and pick some of these little treasures.
I got my pickers all ready.
So Tiffany, here we are, out in the middle of a blueberry field. What are we gonna experience here?
So these bushes are a variety called blue crops, and in Michigan there's 17 to 20 varieties of blueberries, and they become ripe all through different times of the seasons. But you can see these are gonna be a little tart because they're not totally ready to go, but there's a couple on there that are
would you
ready
say
to go.
This would be one that's ready
That
to
looks
go?
like it's pretty close to being ready. You let me know how good it is.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I don't taste the tartness, I taste the sweetness.
So you would say this light one,
It's not
that's
right.
still green,
Yeah.
would be a tart.
Yeah, that would be a tart one. That would be a tart one, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much. Packs a punch.
It was certain that Tiffany knew what she was doing, picking blueberries that only provided the freshest taste. Across town, at the grand finale, Justin uses these fresh purple circles to create everything from jams, jellies, to delicious pastries. And certain perfected products hit the shelves at Tiffany's storefront, Blueberry Haven. This is where patrons can rack up everything blueberry, even beverages.
Well, Tiffany, from farm to bakery to your shop, we really come full circle. Can you tell us about some of your product?
Absolutely. This is actually the Lake Michigan chutney, and this one is the salsa. But we have more products than that. We have muffins and scones and pancakes. We have chocolates. We have salad dressings. Actually, the salsa is one of my best-selling products, but people think blueberry salsa, but when you taste it, it's pretty good.
I'm ready to dig in. What about you, Brian?
I'm with you.
All right, my friend. Oh, yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
To Blueberry Haven.
To blueberries.
And just like that, it was time for a final stop in the Grand Haven area. Brian and I found the perfect spot for a top shelf finale. Back in the downtown area, Ryan and his team at the Grand Haven Musical Fountains really knew how to make a lasting impression, wowing the community one valve at a time. Ryan, here we are, Grand Haven Musical Fountain, a legend here in this town, and we got Ryan, and we are in the pump room, is that correct?
That is correct. We're in the pump house of the Grand Haven Musical Fountain.
So when you look at the pumps here and all the different piping, how does the fountain actually work?
Well, these 3 pumps and motors take the water from down the basin below and all around us and pumps it through the pipes that you see here outside to the actual fountain. Now what you see above is those clear boxes, and the green, which is actually a valve below it. That's what controls the water to come from inside to go outside, and it turns on in the different parts of the show that we want it to turn on for.
So you look at the massive pipe connection outside. It's like a maze. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so a lot of the piping that's there is actually original. Some of it has been redone, but actually most of it has been repainted. Most of what you see out there is all water. However, there are some conduits for light and some conduits for air.
So when somebody comes to Grand Haven, when can they view the show?
We run nightly as early as 8:30 at night, but as late as 10 p.m., just depending. We want to make sure it's nice and dark, or dark enough for the fountain so you can see all the lights and the colors.
Besides the pump house here, the electronic control room.
Yes, do you like that name?
I
Seems a
love
little
it.
bit out of date. The fountain was opened in 1962. Now originally the fountain was controlled manually by switches, turning the fountain on and off. Over the years, it's evolved, but that is where the actual brains of the show is.
I hear that pump right in the background. It's hissing at us. I say we fire this baby up.
Fountain time.
Well, Ryan, here we are, ready to fire this puppy up. Ryan, what do we do?
We're gonna go to start number 3 first, and then number 2, and then I bet you can guess what's next.
Ryan, give the honors, buddy.
Ryan, permission to engage number 3.
Engage.
Number 3, engaging.
Oh, you can feel the power. Permission, Ryan, for number 2.
Permission granted, sir.
Ryan, permission to engage pump 1.
Permission granted.
Pump 1, engaged.
And there it is, folks. Another destination, another amazing time. Ryan and the musical fountains at Grand Haven made the perfect end to an awesome adventure. Michigan is full of surprises, incredible people, and beautiful locations. So mark your calendars, plan your trip, and see what this place has to offer. Until next time, I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer. Stay curious, my friends.
Safe travels. Roadtrip Masters is back. The Caddy is once again ready to conquer one small town at a time. On this episode, I cruise into a beautiful Massachusetts town that is like a small slice of heaven, known for the freshest taste of the ocean. I meet up with a mossing legend, take a climb into Massachusetts history, flick the fishing pole for a serious catch, and kick back right along the sea. So sit back, relax, and let me do the driving right here on Roadtrip Masters. I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer.
We're teachers that have a passion for travel.
Cruising the highways and byways in our 1968 drop-top Caddy.
We discover the places and people that make this nation great. We are Roadtrip Masters. This week, I roll into Massachusetts' South Shore to the town of Scituate, planted about 30 miles outside of Boston. It is called home to around 18,000 New England residents who reside in seaside communities and neighborhoods. With the Caddy humming, it was time to settle in and find a place to call home for the next week. That's when I met up with Linda, who had the perfect seaside spot at the Inn at Scituate Harbor. All right, Linda, the Inn at Scituate Harbor, you emailed me a year ago, and finally, we are here.
Yes.
Beautiful place. Tell us about the inn.
We have 29 guest rooms. They all have awesome views of the fishing pier and the lighthouse and Scituate Harbor.
I mean, it's perfectly located. You're right here in the main hubbub. You got the docks right here. Everything within walking distance?
Everything is within walking distance. You want to go out on a fishing charter or a sailboat cruise, award-winning restaurants, ice cream, probably all of our restaurants and all of our shops are all owned by local families. So yeah, you can park your car and you don't have to get in until you leave.
Tell me about that suite. I know you got a suite. I know you got some double rooms. I know you got some other rooms. Tell us about them.
So we have one suite. It's a fairly large suite and has 2 queen beds, a nice couple of sofas, sitting area, 2 TVs, and a high top to look out at the view. We also have some rooms with 2 double beds and some rooms with a king bed. So any sort of sleeping arrangement we can handle.
It's amazing. And you know what? That's what the show's all about. We love this small town Americana. We love this small town feel. We're looking forward to our stay at the Inn at Scituate Harbor. Thank you for reaching out. That's what it's all about.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. After meeting up with Linda and settling into this harbor retreat, I decided it was time to hit the town and grab a bite. That's when I met up with Chef Dave, the master behind the fantastic food at the Mill Wharf, a family restaurant preparing only the freshest from the Atlantic. All right, Chef, here we are, the epicenter, I'm going to call it, of the Mill Wharf restaurant. What do you got for us today? What are you going to prepare?
We got a lobster mac and cheese. Fresh lobster meat right from the ocean, right outside our door.
When I come to a place like this, right on the ocean, I'm expecting that fresh seafood.
Exactly.
All right, let's dig in. What's the first step? What do we do?
We have our fresh cavatelli pasta. We're gonna put that right in our boiling water. Next, we have our saute pan, a little olive oil, shallots, and garlic. Mix that up.
Now, Chef, you got to be really careful with that garlic, correct?
You don't want to burn it.
And it could happen
Just
in an
like
instant.
that. We're gonna get our fresh lobster meat.
Man, we're off to a great start here.
Toss that all in. Fresh shucked. Some herbs.
Now, what herbs did you put in there particularly?
Parsley, scallions. Just a little color, little flavor. We're gonna hit it with our heavy cream. Let that cook down. So you can see my pasta's getting there.
Not in there that long, Chef, is it?
No, it's fresh. We're gonna take our pan. I'm gonna add some fresh lobster stew to it, which we make in-house. It's delicious.
All right. I see you got it prepped right there.
Yeah.
You can see it all coming together. That
Yeah.
thickness, that consistency
Yeah.
coming there.
Bring that to a nice boil. We're gonna add our cheeses next.
So now you said cheeses, plural.
Yes.
What's in it?
Parmesan and Gruyere.
All right.
Gives it a little bite.
I got to be honest, Chef. When you said lobster mac and cheese, I was like, this is going to be like the mac and cheese like I make for my kids at home.
Oh, absolutely not.
This is totally different.
Now our pasta is all done.
That was literally only in there for 5 minutes, that
Yeah.
pasta.
It's fresh pasta, so it doesn't take long. Finish it with a little butter.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're gonna take this, it's all done.
All right.
We're gonna add our Ritz crackers.
Now, there's a twist that you don't often see. The Ritz crackers.
I think it's more of a New England staple. Put that under there for about a minute, just to brown up the crumbs.
Oh, there's that crust.
Look at that.
All right, so we come over here. Here's the lobster mac and cheese plate.
And there you have it.
Man, beautiful. I see that sucker, Chef. It looks absolutely stunning. Can't wait to get a spoon or fork. What am I going to use?
Your choice.
All
I'd
right.
say fork.
All right, can't wait to dive into this thing and give this baby a taste. Well, we set it back there in the kitchen. Chef was absolutely right. You gotta keep it simple. You gotta keep it fresh. You wanna talk about comfort food? This is the dish to get at the Mill Wharf. The town of Scituate is known for a lot of things, including dining, family fun, and most importantly, its history. One of its many claims to fame is its resources to the craft of mossing, specifically Irish moss. Many individuals will say that Scituate's rise came to be during the discovery of the seaweed below its coastal waters. Irish moss is used in many popular products and is largely made of a jelly-like substance called carrageenan. Like all great things, there's a catch. Irish moss isn't easily gathered, but if you happen to need a batch, a local legend, Hawk Hickman, is the guy for the job. You brought me out here.
Yep.
Third Cliff.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
What are we going to experience today?
We're going to experience something that most people in the world have never experienced. The gathering of the wild seaweed, Chondrus crispus, with all its nutritional values.
You wrote several books on this topic, correct?
Correct.
When did you start?
1959, when I was 16.
Wow. The main extract that we're getting out of this moss is what?
Carrageenan.
Oh, you even put the rolling R's in there. Well, Hawk, I'm going to tell you, I think it's time to put these rakes in the water.
Okay.
And see what we come up with and try to pass this tradition on to me. I don't know if I could do it, but I'm sure going to give it a good try. God, I'm crushing the moss here, Hawk. Am I good?
Yep.
This rake's heavy.
Yep.
It's got a lot of weight to it. Obviously, we want it to sink to the ground, but I wasn't expecting this. What's the average weight on it?
I don't know, but I consider it light.
Okay. Oh, boy, I'm on the wrong side. Yeah, I'll just do it left-handed. Oh, I think I got it big. I saw that cloud puff come up.
This is all junk.
I noticed when you were doing it, you did not get whiskers.
Yeah, because I know how to avoid them.
Well, that makes sense. Whew.
Okay, let me see the rake for a minute.
All right, Hawk, take over. Kessler getting fired from the job. Do I sit down, Hawk? Hawk is clearly a master of his craft. It seems that some traditions should remain in the hands of those who conquered them. I will say, some of my harvested moss did make it in the boat. And now it was time to check in with Rodney for the next steps to this exhausting process. Rodney,
We're drying it out here in the sun.
Yeah.
But Hawk told me that it cannot get rained upon. Why?
Yeah. The rainwater kind of disturbs some of the properties in the moss and causes it to deteriorate a little bit. So when it's outside of the fresh water, you want to avoid rain at all costs.
If it rains with fresh water, it'll destroy it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unbelievable.
We'll lose the whole load.
Now, is it edible at this stage? I would assume so.
Oh, it is. It is. And it has kind of same consistency of a potato chip.
All right, let me
It's a
try.
little stiffer.
Let me try it. Make sure there's no crab legs in there. Crabs.
Yeah.
Wow, that is like a potato chip.
Yeah.
Still a little tough, though, I'm going to say.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's gritty.
You guys are new generation coming up in the business right now.
Yes, sir.
One of the only people doing it here in Scituate, correct?
Yes, sir. In America.
Wow. Comes down to 2 people. You and Jarius.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for doing what you do. The story is incredible. Hawk passing down century-old tradition of mossing to a new generation that's enthused about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rodney.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
One structure stands high among the ranks of this blissful town, Lawson Tower. A local gem sits sky high, an architectural monster waiting to be explored. All right, Bob, here we are at the base of a Scituate landmark, Lawson Tower. What's the history? Why is it here?
Thomas Lawson was a very wealthy person, probably one of the 10 wealthiest people in the United States at one time. They looked across the street and they saw this big, black, ugly standpipe.
Now, what's a standpipe?
It's a water tank.
Oh, okay.
So he sent his architect to Europe. He started in London, made it as far as Constantinople, and actually found a castle on the Rhine River that he liked the design of, and he proposed it to Thomas Lawson, and they built this within a year to hide the tank and make his wife happy. What husband would not do that?
Smart man. So the main purpose was to cover the water tower. But there's also something else special located upstairs, correct?
Correct. 10 bells, a chime system that you play from here in the console room. There's also a clock. So you would go up a total of 123 steps to where the bells are. Then there's a ladder. You take that ladder up to a little landing, and you take another ladder up to where the clock is. In between the clock and the bells, the only reason there's a space there is for the pendulum for the clock. This is before electricity, so people have to wind it. The clock is not that much, but the other ones go from the top of the tower to the ground.
No. How tall is the entire tower?
153 feet to the top of the mast. The tank that was in there was 75 feet tall.
All right, Bob, let's make the ascent to the summit, I'm going to call it.
Yeah, let's go.
Bob, I'm telling you, that was a hike upstairs, but it was well worth the trip. Look at this. These bells are gorgeous. Tell us about them.
There's 10 bells. They range from 300 pounds to 3,000 pounds. This is the 3,000-pound bell.
Wow, right here.
This strikes the hour, and it also is involved when they play the chimes at 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. every day.
There's some other special things. Number one is this constant breeze coming off of the ocean. It's amazing. It's like 10, 15-mile-an-hour winds up here.
Oh, it's awesome. In the summertime, it's a great place to be. But on a real windy day, if you're up here and you stand still, you can feel the tower move.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, which was designed.
So, Bob, we got another special spot to explore, the clock.
The clock. Yes, we do. The clock is upstairs through 2 ladders, but you'll see.
All right, let's
It's
check
exciting.
it out. Let's go. All right, Bob, we are at the highest point, and it is hot in here, but I hear that clock.
Yeah.
What an amazing mechanism.
Well, the clock was made by Howard Clock. It was put up here in 1902 to play the hour strike, the chimes, and we usually wind it every week. So we have a team now that winds it. So one team takes a month. Stephen Litchfield runs our clock team, so he gets volunteers. As they get older, they sort of fall by the wayside, to say the least. Because as you know, it's a hike.
Oh my God. Well, we're sweating up here, Bob. I say we head back down and let's hear these bells ring. After a full tour and a couple hundred stairs, it was finally time to descend this beautiful piece of history. Bob and his team do a fantastic job preserving this crucial part of Scituate, and we can't thank them enough for sharing it with us. Before we leave, it only felt right to hear these bells sing. So with that, we met up with Lene, who played baseball's favorite lullaby. Thanks to Bob, my exercise for the day had been accomplished. But after a nice hike to the top of a tower, nothing complimented the high heat like a fresh scoop of homemade ice cream. That's when I stepped into Nona's, a dessert gem, surely a promising location to regain a few calories.
All right, Sarah, here we are. I'm gonna call this machine the Beast, because this is what powers Nona's, correct?
Absolutely.
Now, I think one of the big things about Nona's, all of your flavors are homemade.
Correct, yes.
And it's all done right here.
Yep.
How many buckets a day are you putting out?
Some days it's 120, some days it's 60, but it sort of depends on what's going on. Do we have enough ingredients? Do we have enough staffing?
And how many flavors do you have?
Between 30 and 40, usually.
All right, well, I say let's power this beast up.
All right.
Let's watch it come out. Let's give it a run.
And just like that, Sarah kicked this Ice Cream King into overdrive, only using ingredients guaranteed to make your mouth water. Out front, Chrissy would give me all the details on her one-of-a-kind dessert paradise.
I'll tell you what, it's an honor to be here. Nona's homemade ice cream, 20 years. All the recipes that you have here, are they your own?
They are our own, but they're a conglomeration of a lot of people giving us recipes. When we started, everyone just wanted to give us recipes. But I used to make it at home as well, so I kind of knew what I liked.
So many stores are not doing what you're doing. And it's all done right here in-house.
We make it all, we have 2 stores right now, we make it all in-house, yes. Well, when we started, Nona said, you can't just make ice cream, you have to make good ice cream.
It was finally time for my last stop in the Scituate journey. With the smell of salt in the air, it was only appropriate to hit the high seas with Captain Mike and Connor, 2 fishermen who have a serious talent when it comes to finding the perfect catch.
All right, Captain Mike, you got us out here. We got Connor. What am I going to experience today?
We're going to pull some lobster traps when we leave the harbor. Hopefully get you some dinner for the galley a little bit later on. From there, head to Stellwagen Bank, load up on mackerel and herring for our bait for striped bass fishing in Provincetown, Race Point, right around the corner from Provincetown Harbor.
I've never been out on the ocean on this type of trek or voyage. This is my first time. Are we going to catch fish?
We always hope to catch fish. No guarantees, but we've had a good month.
Captain Mike, I like to think that I have the A+ crew right here. I think we're going to nail it.
There you go.
I would say so, too. All right, let's get her done, boys.
Captain Mike didn't waste any time and kicked this excursion into high gear. First order of business, grab some dinner for the crew, and nothing sounds better than some prime time lobster.
We're out here on the very first stop. Captain Mike, what are we going to be doing here?
A little lobster trap pulling.
All right, so these traps are how far down?
About 35, 40 feet in this location.
And what do you bait them with?
Anything we have on board. Basically, mackerel, pogies, herring.
All right, Connor, you're going to be pulling these things up.
Sure am.
Show me how to do the first one, and I got to pull that second one.
We got one here. We're going to grab him for you, make sure it's nice and safe. We're good, man. Go ahead.
You're doing most of that
Let's see what
work
you got.
Oh, God. Wow.
All right, here it comes.
Get a
Ready?
rhythm.
Right there, that's good. Now you want to grab by the bridle here.
Right
up and over. We got a few in there. Let's take a look, see if he's good. So on this side he makes it. You always want to check both sides. Has to be 3 1/4 inches. So he's right there. It's called a chicken if they're over that size. And he's good on both sides, so that's dinner as well. We get this guy banded up. In the pot. There's one more for us.
With the lobsters bagged up, it meant dinner was one step closer to perfection. The only thing that would top off a sturdy plate is a solid catch from beneath Captain Mike's boat. This next stop required the fishing poles.
All right, Connor, here we are out to the hunting ground. Yep. This is what we quested for. This is what we got mackerel for. What are we going to experience?
We're here at Race Point. This is kind of like the mecca of striped bass. It has been for years. We're going to be dropping live baits on the striped bass. They're all up and down this line where you see these boats here. The mackerel and herring we caught earlier, we're going to drop them right down when we find them. When Mike gets on, we're going to get them right down to the depth. And then from there, we're gonna catch plenty of bass.
All right, yeah. All right, here we go. Wish us luck. You got one?
Not yet. You got one?
No.
Oh, wait for it. Reel. You get them on?
Fish on.
Fish on, baby. Keep it tight, keep it tight.
Fish on.
There
Yeah,
you go.
come on. My motion's so stiff like this, it's not as smooth as Connor's, but I got him on. Constant tension, correct? All right, it's coming up, I think.
How are the biceps?
The forearms are burning. They're on fire. Oh, here comes mine.
Oh, that's a nice fish. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Keep
The drag's
working it.
going out.
Keep working it. Right there. Back up a little bit.
All right.
Nice work.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave him right here for now. I'm gonna get the other fish. Woo! So we're doubled up, baby.
Forearms are burning. On fire. All right, 2 of them. Captain Mike bagging it. What's the proper technique on this guy?
All right, you grab him right in the mouth and in the belly where my hand is.
So this mouth first?
Yep.
Nice tight.
Yep. Hang tight.
And
I'll grab this one.
You feel their little teeth right there.
Yeah, it's like sandpaper.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's like sandpaper. There it is, my keeper. Now, Connor, do I kiss it?
If you'd like to kiss it, do whatever you want to do.
Wait, do you actually touch the lip on it, or you fake it?
On the lips, on the head, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, but do I actually kiss it? Like
Yeah,
contact?
just like this. Mwah. Just like that.
Ooh, he jumped just like Laura does. Captain Mike and Connor definitely knew what they were doing. And after one bass, the floodgates opened. Bass after bass after bass. Scituate is filled with kind people. People who make this town what it is today. A place filled with culture, hard work, loyalty, and friendship. I tip my cap to this community and thank them for an unforgettable road trip. Until next time, I'm Nick Kessler. Stay curious, my friends. Safe travels. On this episode of Roadtrip Masters, I cruise into a town that has a flight of 5 locks and meet up with the king, who is second to none.
Because they just take a beating here.
I'll fine dine on some tasty meat morsels.
Oh yeah, we're gonna stop your heart.
Explore the underworld. After you. Hear that water rushing? And hit a drive-in that has been flipping burgers since 1946.
I love that sauce.
So sit back, relax, and I'll do the driving right here on Road Trip Masters. I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer.
We're teachers that have a passion for travel.
Cruising the highways and byways in our 1968 drop-top caddy.
We discover the places and people that make this nation great. We are Road Trip Masters. On this week's episode, I'm riding solo. So as Brian enjoys his time out west with his family, I'm traveling to the western part of New York, to the town of Lockport. Located 25 miles northeast of Buffalo, this town's history began in the early part of the 19th century when New York State Legislature authorized the construction of the Erie Canal. When the canal was completed in 1829, Lockport was established as a village, and many of the canal workers stayed and began to form its community. But the big daddy around here is the flight of 5 locks, a staircase system of locks that was designed and built to allow packet boats to travel over the 60-foot Niagara Escarpment. The Flight of 5 greatly assisted canal workers and provided safe passage to the city of Buffalo. A true engineering masterpiece that is alive and well for all to see. With the caddy cruising at peak performance, I couldn't wait to get into town. But before I did, I decided to check out nearby Becker Farms, a place where you could pick apples, stay overnight, and partake in some liquid farm-crafted beverages. Becker Farms, 1894, I believe.
Yes.
Beautiful facility.
Thank you.
Give us a little history or background.
Well, it started in 1894 with my great-grandfather. He was an immigrant from Germany. Went to my grandfather. He was born in the little house that's our farm market. And then my husband and I took it over from my grandfather in 1979.
You have a lot of things going on here. A vineyard, fruit trees. What's that all about?
Oscar, my husband, is actually an immigrant from Peru.
Oh.
They never miss an opportunity.
So they're always growing something.
So we've listened to what our customers want, and we've added on layer after layer every year for 40 years.
People can come here and stay, correct?
Yes, we have 10 little hotel room cabins, hot running water, beautiful sheets, and soft, comfy beds. Your view out the window is either the vineyard or the apple orchard.
The farmhouse, how many bedrooms are in that?
There's 3 bedrooms, an office, a living room, big dining room, wraparound porch, new kitchen. It's beautifully done.
You have the tasting room. Tell us a little bit about that.
All the wines are made from the fruit that we grow here. We have unique wines like strawberry, raspberry, blueberry. We grow it, we make it, and we sell it.
Well, Mindy, I think there's one thing left to do. I think we got to go taste some of these wines.
I think you should.
All right. That's where I met Mindy's son, Andres, who gave me a sample of what the Becker's homegrown experience is all about.
Now, in general, when you're doing a wine tasting, you want to go from white to red, dry to sweet, or as I like to say, from less intense to more intense flavors. So we're gonna start out with our 2018 Traminette. It's perfectly suited for the soil that we have here and for the climate that we have.
You definitely smell that sweetness right away.
Well, so this is actually, it smells that way, but when you taste it, it'll come out dry.
You're right. Excellent. Besides producing their own wines from scratch, Becker Farms makes their own craft beer, cider, ice cream, fudge, and homemade pies. Andres, thank you very much, and thank you for doing what you do.
I was born to do it.
Becker Farms, an iconic example of old-fashioned self-sufficiency carried out in the modern world. After the bags were unpacked and base camp was established, I decided to check out a Lockport staple that has been family-owned since 1960, Danny Sheehan's Steakhouse. That's when I caught up with the man, the myth, the legend, Marty, who is the master steakologist that rules his kitchen kingdom one cut of meat at a time.
Danny Sheehan's has been here forever. It opened in 1960, same year as the Buffalo Bills.
All right, that's a good thing. How long have you been here?
I was the busboy at the last supper. I was the one that said anybody wants to get in the picture, get on this side of the table.
What are we gonna cook up today?
We're gonna cook up what we call the big boy surf and turf, or the petitely challenged person surf and turf.
I see the bacon fat.
Oh yeah. We're gonna stop your heart. First thing we wanna do is we wanna set up our lobster tails. We're gonna put a little butter over the top, and then just a little bit of paprika. And we're gonna kick on our cast iron. We're gonna get that hot. We got our water on here for broccoli. Put a little of the good stuff in here. We'll stop your heart. So we're gonna get our potatoes in there.
Yep, I hear that bacon fat
sizzling.
sizzling.
Yeah. Now I gotta get my seasoning. I put this stuff on everything, I don't care.
That seasoning, that's your own blend.
Yeah, I mix it myself.
Salt, pepper.
No, I'm not gonna tell you.
All right, okay.
Okay, so next thing we gotta do is we've gotta get our steak on and our tails in, okay?
You season it on the grill?
On the grill.
I think a lot of people under-season their meat.
I mean, I have people come in and ask for no seasoning. Of course, we throw them out, but that's all right. So we'll put the lobsters in the oven now. And we're gonna put in some peppers and onions. We'll flip it over.
Hey, not too bad as far as the smoke, Marty.
No, I know, so far. You should get some fat out and throw it on there, and then you'll see what happens. I'll get a plate down here, and we'll get that set up. See, the broccoli goes in at the last minute. And there we are. Just a matter of waiting and seeing. I got to keep flipping this once in a while.
I'm going to time it now, Marty. 6 minutes.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Yep.
You're like one of my waitresses for crying out loud. You said 6 minutes!
How many steaks will you knock out on a typical serving at night?
Well, on a Saturday night, I'll probably about 150 to 200.
Whew. Those are cooking up beautifully.
Oh, yeah. So we'll turn that down just a little bit. Look at our lobster tails. Ah, yeah, those puppies are going to be just a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Guy's right on.
I'm not as dumb as I look, you know. I'm going to put the broccoli in the water now. It's par cooked, it's blanched. We're going to get our potatoes.
All right.
A little drawn butter for the lobster tails. Oh, yeah, baby, there you go. Look at those, huh? Little piece of meat. And how about that?
Beautiful. That's a man's meal.
I know a few women will eat that.
Just let me know if they're single. Well, Marty, I can't wait to sink my teeth into this monster.
Well, go sit down. You're all good to go.
Normally in restaurants, you find a lot of New York strips so tough. But this happens to be one of the most tender New York strip steaks I've ever had in my life. Here's the Danny Sheen's, an A+ in my book. Western New York is known for its dedication and love of its sports teams. And there is no better fan base in the world than right here. But there is one man who is solidifying his legacy as a fan. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Lockport's very own, John Lang, a.k.a. the Bills Elvis.
Elvis's Garage. Should be in the AAA places to see in Western New York, I guess. It started out as just your basic plain garage. I put in a window, I'd put in the door, I put on the deck, fireplace, blew out the ceiling, skylights.
So what started it all? Why the Elvis? Why the guitar?
A buddy of mine and I used to bet the Bills-Miami game every year. I just said, you know, I'll bet you double or nothing I can get on TV today. And he was like, sure, you're on. I scoured the apartment and found an old guitar and put Go Bills and squished the fish on the back of it. My wife drew some chest hair on me and some sideburns, and I had a goofy suit, and I was on the broadcast of that game. It was funny because all the people in my section, they were like, this is a riot. You got to do this again. You got to do it again. And I was just like, I had fun with it. Sure, I'm all in.
So now, do you go to every home game?
Yes. I've only missed 3 since '92.
That's amazing. One of the reasons that I came to Lockport is because back in '99 when I was seeing the Bills and Patriots game, and then at the end of the game, we saw you hustle up the steps and we said, we got to get that pic with Elvis. And 22 years later, I was wondering, is the Elvis still there? And then I put it out there, Bills Mafia, they instantaneously said, that's John Lang from Lockport. So I look up Lockport and it fit our show profile perfectly. And lo and behold, here I am. Isn't it weird how things work out? John, we got a surprise for you. We're going right out to Buffalo, Orchard Park. We're gonna go sit where you sit and get a little back behind the scenes there. Are you all right with that?
I would love it.
All right, John, your seats here in Orchard Park.
Seat 1 and 2, section 126. I feel right at home, right here.
Who makes your Elvis outfits?
So it's a very good friend of ours, my wife and mine, Holly Mullaney is her name. This is probably suit number 5 that she's made. It's getting a little ratty, but I'm gonna have another one made up by her probably this year.
Might have to give you a Roadtrip Masters logo.
That'd be awesome.
Now, you've been doing this since '92. How many guitars would you say you go through?
Typically about 2 a year I go through. I'll beat up 2 to 3 a year.
Now, what do you mean beat up?
Well, like I beat them on the... Occasionally hit a player or two by accident.
John, when you look around here, Bills Mafia, so supportive. Are you a member of the Mafia?
Oh, absolutely. The fan base of Buffalo is off the charts to me. The economic hardships of Western New York, the climate, it just makes for a great, great fan base. It really does. It's hardworking, good people, generous, off the charts. The Bills Mafia is, it's the best.
I've never been all the way up to the top of the stadium. You mind if we take that hike?
I'm in.
All right, let's go.
They are hardcore fans up here in these corners. From my seats, I can look up and see the flags, and I know if the flags are going directly across that they are getting pelted with some cold winds and typically some snow right up here. I love watching Miami come here in December, and you look and they're all freezing, and you're like, ah.
As our time wound down at One Bills Drive, Johnny and I just had one more thing to do before our trek back to Lockport. Here we are, 4th and goal with the game on the line. It's up to Johnny Lang. Ball is set. 1 second left on the clock. Ball is snapped. Kessler rolls to his right. It looks like Lang sees him. Fake pumps. Kessler is wide open. is in the air. This is it. Touchdown! Touchdown! What athletes? Bills winning in a thriller in Orchard Park. After a play like that, it was time to hop into the caddy, drive back to Lockport, and pound down some wings, Gonzo style.
Gonzos in Lockport, one of your favorite hangouts, right?
Yes, it is. Definitely is.
Before we dive into these beauties right in front of us, what do you guys look for in Lockport in a wing?
Got to be the right size, which these are. You look for it not being overdone, but you want them crispy. Jerry here has a whole bunch of my favorite flavors. These are delicious.
One last question, John. Drum or wing?
They're both off the charts great.
Cheers, my friend. Thanks for bringing us to Lockport. Let's dive into these puppies.
Glad you came up.
Jerry, I don't know where Jerry went. It's a hell of a wing. Nobody gets that crunch on there like that.
Lockport is a city that is built around the Erie Canal, and the Flight of Five is truly a magnificent example of man's determination to conquer nature. But there's another story that lies hidden underneath, a story of a man who was known as a mechanical genius. I needed to find out more, and that's when I met up with Tom, the owner of the Lockport Cave and underground boat ride.
Birdsill Holly.
Lived most of his life here. He was a mastermind. He was a great inventor. Over 150 patents, and second only to Thomas Edison.
So Birdsill Holly basically heated Lockport.
A steam heat and water through a tap, water through a fire hydrant. And they went out and did and developed and built this in hundreds of cities across America.
Lockport Cave. You started this.
I did back in the 70s. We were giving lantern tours with real lanterns.
Yeah, we got several stops along this tour. You want to get going?
Yes, let's go.
All right, let's check it out.
Lockport was known as the city of smokeless power because it was all done via good old high-quality H2O. Birdsill Holly blasted a massive tunnel from the Erie Canal to his factory to supply water and mechanical energy.
We're looking at the area that was the original gate abutments where the water was controlled by the hydraulic company into the tunnel. And you can see the lintel says Hydraulic Race Company. And so the water went in through the arches and through the canal and then started to go down to the tunnel.
All right, let's continue the tour.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're going that way.
Oh, we are? We're coming up onto the entrance of the tunnels. It looks like something out of a horror movie.
It has been, actually. It's been used in horror films every day. We're going through the actual exit of the tunnel where the water ultimately came out at the end.
Inside the tunnel, take one. Got the water shooting underneath us. It's getting kind of tight. It's like a fallout shelter.
275 foot long. Imagine this being literally 80% full of rushing water falling 60 feet. This was the gatehouse where they control the water that came out of the tunnel into the mill, the pulp mill.
So basically this room, one giant valve. Could they control the rate of the flow?
They did control the rate of the flow. These mills were paying per cubic feet based on the aperture opening or whatever the opening had to be in each of the mills.
Sounds like my power company today.
It does, yeah.
So Tom, here we are. We got a hole in this rock.
They blasted this tunnel using black powder. They would take the rod and knock it in the hole in the wall and place black powder into the hole and cover it up and light the fuse and run like hell. And they also used children to do that. We call them powder monkeys because they could run faster.
And everything that we see in here was just blasted, excavated out. All right, let's put these tools back and get the powder monkeys in here. All right, Tom, here's our boat ride out, I guess.
No, our boat ride to the other end.
Oh, okay.
This is the original tunnel that was blasted, and we made a boat ride out of it.
Captain, after you. It's like an ark.
Yeah.
We're off.
It's the SS Minnow.
I hope it doesn't wind up like the SS Minnow.
This run is 800 feet one way, 1,600 foot round trip. There was a wooden plate over the top of this part of the tunnel and it collapsed. And the city dumped, I don't know how many hundreds of dump truck loads of fill into this and filled it all the way up to the top.
And you did it by hand?
We dug this out by hand. And of course, we all sit around here and wonder what the people who are talking down at the other end are and what they're saying. There's people talking?
Yeah, I do.
It's odd. It's, you know, it's the ghost of Birdsill Holly and all his friends. All of the psychics and the people that have been here are all true believers that there is something here. With all the people, of course, that died, that were involved in this, there's people that really believe that there are spirits in here.
So you're telling me what I'm hearing at the end of that tunnel, nobody's down there? Wow, Tom, that was absolutely incredible. Amazing, stunning, and historical.
Get a real feel for the creation of the mechanical power when you look over the precipice here where the water came out for the Holly Company and went down the 60 feet.
Tom, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
What a tour. You have a true gem here right in Lockport that everybody needs to see.
We appreciate that. We got something very special.
Someone once told me that the heartbeat of any town is a great burger joint, and I didn't have to look too far to find one. This place has been flipping burgers and cooking up dogs since 1946 and is a Lockport tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Reed's Drive-In.
All right, John, what do I need to order here at Reed's?
I would say you would want to get a double cheeseburger with sauce and a red hot with sauce.
All right, let's cook one up.
What we'll also do is we'll throw on a fresh red hot.
John disappeared already on me. Now, John, what's a red hot?
A red hot is just a Salem's hot dog, but that's just for our own terminology.
So Reed's has its own lingo.
Yes. When you put your order in, we hope to have you out of here within 5 minutes.
A couple minutes on each side there with the flip.
Yeah, we got thin burgers, but when you double them up, they taste extra good.
Now I'm going to see if you pass the test a little bit later on, John. Thinking of something, and I want to see if you're going to do it and incorporate it into your burger. But go ahead, continue with the process.
Usually we just let them cook, juices up a little bit.
Oh yeah, I see this big pot right here. Chili?
Yeah. No, that's sauce. So that's the famous Reed sauce that we've been using since 1946.
I'm not even going to bother with the next question because I'm going to ask you what's in it, and you're going to tell me
it's a
now
secret.
It's a secret. Now, John, we're talking, and you're hearing the orders. Are you splitting the tasks right now?
I try my best. It's like walking and chewing gum, you know?
I just love the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's super good. I mean, I think everyone has fun. Right, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Hope you enjoy it.
They made it up so quickly, I didn't even see him do the hot dog. Where did it come from?
Comes from the side, another good worker, Huffy.
Hey, you know what? You passed the test because I see the buns on the grill. Toasted up a little bit.
They gotta be warm.
Woo! Man, that's hot. Temperature-wise, we're up there. Look at that.
Now, the real question is, do you like it?
Put it to you this way.
You're gonna finish it?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna hammer that down. Saturday morning, waking up with a bit of a headache, I'm ordering a bunch of these things. You know what I mean?
I've actually heard that once or twice before.
Reed's Drive-In was certainly the right stop before the voyage home. So buckle up and grab the wheel and get lost in an area worth discovering. Until next time, I'm Nick Kessler. Stay curious, my friends, and safe travels. On this episode of Roadtrip Masters, we cruise into a town nestled on the banks of the mighty Potomac River and visit a battlefield that has the reputation as being the bloodiest day in American history. We'll fire up the grill,
The turning of the beef.
and pop some popcorn gourmet style,
Like a magical 1-2 knockout punch, buddy.
and explore this town's haunted and historical past.
Man, we gotta get out of here.
So sit back, relax, and let us do the driving right here on Roadtrip Masters. I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer.
We're teachers that have a passion for travel.
Cruising the highways and byways in our 1968 drop-top caddy.
We discover the places and people that make this nation great. We are Roadtrip Masters. On this week's episode, Brian and I cruise into Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Founded in 1762 and originally named Mecklenburg, Shepherdstown is located in Jefferson County and is home to Shepherd University. Known as the most haunted town in America, this place also has heavy roots in the American Civil War. So we kick this road trip off right by checking into the Bavarian Inn Resort and Brewing Company, a place that offers European style and elegance, located right on the banks of the Potomac River.
All right, Christian, here we are. Bavarian Inn, Shepherdstown, West Virginia. But what are Germans doing in West Virginia? Can you tell me the history?
Sure. So for our family, it actually dates back to 1977. My father's originally from Germany, and he came over on the boat. So the building itself dates back to the 1930s. And so when my parents arrived, that's all that was here. Mom and Dad wanted to have a German restaurant. Mom was the waitress, Dad was the chef in the kitchen, which is a modified 2-car garage. We have 110 employees, 72 hotel rooms, a brewery, 3 restaurants, so it's grown quite a bit in the 40-something years we've been doing this.
You have these iconic turrets on some of the buildings.
So when we started building hotel accommodations, we really wanted it to be reminiscent of Bavaria. So we met with a local designer, and at the bar here in the restaurant, he took out a cocktail napkin and sketched this first building that looked exactly like a cottage in Bavaria. So here at the Bavarian Inn, you can stay in something that looks like you've taken a plane to Europe.
So when I'm coming here to the Bavarian Inn, what can I expect when I check into the rooms?
So first thing you'll see is you'll see an Osm.
The what?
You'll see an Osm. One of us will be here to greet you most likely, open your wine and talk to you while you're here with us. The rooms themselves are also quite unique. One is what we call our Manor View room, which faces towards the Greystone Mansion, and the other, which are the Riverview rooms. So those rooms all have private balconies overlooking the river. Set your alarm, because at 6:30 in the morning, it is the best sunrise you'll see off those private balconies.
You got a brewery on premise.
We thought, we're German. Germans, beer, let's make beer. Features our beer, and it also features a casual menu of everything from burgers to crab stuffed pretzels.
Another amenity that I absolutely love is that infinity pool.
Infinity 101 pool and bar.
And it's special because it overlooks the Potomac.
Grab a lounge chair, take a dip when you feel like it, and as we say, sip and dip along the Potomac River.
Christian, being German myself, we're looking forward to checking in here, enjoying our stay, and we got German cooking, German brewery, German atmosphere. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Welcome to Shepherdstown.
All right.
After checking into our Bavarian chalets, it was time to head out and grab a bite to eat. That's when we came across the Mecklenburg Inn, or as the locals call it, the Mech, an English-style pub where people can come in, relax, and dine in an outdoor garden oasis that is second to none. And that's when Brian caught up with Bee, the queen of the kitchen, who rules her high, one dish at a time.
Mecklenburg Inn, back in the kitchen with the Queen Bee. Bee, the buzz of the town says you have something special for us.
Today, I'm gonna show you how to cook a Mecklenburg. So this is a fresh all beef patty, which I hand pattied.
About how long on the grill?
Maybe 4 minutes each side.
What are you seasoning with?
Just salt and pepper.
So you don't put the salt and pepper in the patty when you're forming the ball, you put it right on the grill.
Correct.
While we let the burger do its thing, it was time to get the bacon on the pan and in the oven to get its sizzle on. But the Mecklenburger doesn't stop there, because this masterpiece of meat packs a 1-2 punch combination that consists of portobello and onions that are sauteed in a white wine garlic sauce. And then comes the almighty fried egg, delicately cracked and cooked to perfection.
Bee, how hot's that grill?
Very hot.
I just want you to be careful. Bee, would you say that you have to be careful that you don't overcook the burger? B, would you say that you have to beware of the heat going too much into the burger on one side?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I'm sorry.
How many bee jokes have you ever heard?
I'm gonna flip the burger now, y'all. Little turny turn. A twist?
A shimmy?
Yeah.
Next came the cheese, and after that melted, it was time to begin the building of the Mecklenburger.
This is the finale. What do you have for us?
Okay, so on your toasted bun, go in with some mayo, ketchup, and mustard, pickles. I like a lot of pickles. Lettuce, some tomatoes. Burger goes on top of the lettuce. Bacon on that. Mushrooms and onions. Finally, a fried egg.
Voila. B, the burger's so big, it takes up the whole basket.
Imagine trying to fit it in your mouth.
I'm gonna have that problem in a couple minutes.
All right, Brian, you got us some massive burgers.
I'm ready to dive right into this.
I don't even know if I can fit my mouth on this thing. Holy Louie. Wow. That, my friend, is a juicy burger.
A signature dish. I'm currently in the beehive, and it is hot in here. I am sweating.
Just outside Shepherdstown city limits lies the battlefield of Antietam, Located in the neighboring state of Maryland, Antietam is known for being the bloodiest day in American history. This battle was fought between the North and the South on September 17, 1862, and was a major turning point in the American Civil War. Brian and I just had to understand more about this tragic day, and that's when we sought the guidance and wisdom of Keith, a ranger for the National Park Service.
All right, Keith, here we are, the cornfield. Everything starts right behind us, correct?
It was foggy and damp and cool that morning. Right through the corn, you could just see the bayonets glistening at the top of the corn. The Confederates are in the fields waiting for them to appear. Artillery actually began the battle. There were 520 cannons here, fired 50,000 rounds of ammunition. That's literally crashing every foot of land. And then the infantry pops out at this fence.
So how many casualties right here in the cornfield?
10,000 in 4 hours. 10,000 killed in a half-mile radius.
That's 2,500 an hour.
Yes, this is the worst place in American military history.
As the battle waged on, the Union forces turned south to an old country farm lane known as the Sunken Road.
Well, this is maybe the most dramatic spot on the battlefields. Confederates get down in this road and use it as a ready-made fort, just waiting for the Union soldiers to attack. The first wave starts to arrive, commanded by William Henry French. He does have one problem here. 70% of his soldiers have never been in a battle, been in the Army less than 2 weeks. And here they come. If you look to the north, there's this beautiful crest of a hill, and the first thing you'll see are the eagles of flagstaffs. Then slowly the national colors coming into view. Then the blue hats, the curious eyes, the terrified faces, the chests, the stomachs. And when these Confederates could see that big, shiny brass buckle with U.S. on it, every commander of the lane screamed, "Fire!" And it's like a massive bolt of lightning that takes out almost every soldier in the Union line of battle. Literally, the bodies would be piling up from the killed and wounded in the field. The total number of casualties in this combat is about 5,000 in 3 hours, killed and wounded. The only thing they did from those 3 hours was change the name from the Sunken Road, forever known as Bloody Lane.
As our tour continued on, Keith had another stop for us, Burnside Bridge, named after the Union commander Ambrose Burnside. It was here in the early afternoon where 8,000 Union soldiers attempted to cross the 12-foot wide bridge and take the high ground held by the Confederate forces on the other side. By 3 o'clock, Burnside successfully crosses the creek and creates a battle line 1 mile wide. It seems victory is well within reach. But is it?
And right when it looked like its worst moments for Lee, he's about to lose control of the battlefield, the last of Lee's army makes it here from Harper's Ferry under the command of General Ambrose Powell Hill, who crashes into Burnside's left flank and drives him back to the bridge. And the battle slowly fades right around 5:30, like a shower, the last few drops, the last few cracks of rifle fire. The day is finally done.
As our tour winds down of the bloodiest day in American history, we had one more stop, the National Cemetery.
Well, these 11 acres are what I would say the most sacred ground on the battlefield, because this is the final resting place for 4,776 Union soldiers from this battle and any other battle within about a 75-mile radius.
How did this battle change the rest of the Civil War?
Well, I always tell people that there's 3 most important outcomes that every visitor should remember. And the first is that the battle ended the first invasion of the North by the Confederacy. That victory gave Abraham Lincoln the opportunity to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, change the nation forever. The American Civil War now is not just going to be about reunification of the nation, it's now also going to be about freedom for 4 million Americans. Here on this field, 23,000 killed, wounded, or missing. That's the cost of freedom to create the beautiful free nation that we love and enjoy today.
Keith, thank you so much. Your passion, your dedication is unprecedented.
Well, thank you. This is a very special place that we want people to visit. We want to get our story out there, and you guys have been awesome. Not too often I get to ride around in a convertible Cadillac. I had a great day, too.
As they were trying to climb up it, you do it. Go ahead.
Shepherdstown is filled with history, so it was only befitting that we pay a visit to the historic Shepherdstown Museum, formerly known as the Entler Hotel. This museum's main mission is to preserve and display artifacts, furniture, and historic documents that might otherwise have been lost. But we were here to find out about some rooms that are special to this museum, and each have their own unique story to tell. All right, Brian, here we are, historic Shepherdstown Museum. Now, we're in this room and starting our tour here. We're basically stepping back in time. This is what it would have looked like 200 years ago, right?
Pretty much so. I don't think they would have had all the clocks here, but yeah. Well, let me tell you, first off, this is done up as the gentleman's parlor would have been about 1840. So after you had your delicious meal at the restaurant next door, the gentleman would come up here, smoke their cigars. The ladies would retire to the back parlor over here. And it's done up with furniture and pieces that were made right here in Shepherdstown.
So, John, we got some other special places upstairs, right?
We sure do. Let's go.
John, we're in what I would like to call the mail room.
That's what we call it, yeah.
Makes sense.
Back about 1890, Congress decided that the rural population needed to have mail delivery. The Postmaster General back in 1890 was a man named William Wilson, and he was a local guy. So the farmers would ask him, well, does this mean you're going to actually deliver mail to our door? He said, well, no, I can't really do that because some of your lanes to your houses are a mile long or 2 miles long. But tell you what, if you put a box at the end of your lane, I'll have my guys put the mail in the box. The rest is history.
But there was one room left to see, a room that has a haunted past and a tale of tragedy that dates back to 1809.
The one thing I noticed right when I walked in to this room was the temperature is a lot cooler than the rest of the museum.
That's right. This is the coldest room in the building. And a lot of people have said that this room is probably haunted.
John continued to tell us how a man named Peyton Bull Smith got into a fight with his classmate, Joseph Holmes. To settle the argument, they had a duel. Where Holmes shot Smith, Smith was brought back to this room where he died. As John told us more, something unexplainable happened.
And Peyton Smith was supposedly the better shot. It's not known, or some discrepancies as to whether he actually took a shot or not.
All of a sudden, the audio cut.
What's that?
Let's get that line one more time.
So we tried again.
But it's really not known whether he actually took the shot or not. But Holmes did fire, wounded.
Again, the audio from John's mic was interrupted.
What's the matter? It keeps cutting out when you say that. Just start back from the top there about
okay, what was
where you don't know if you took the shot or not.
Something with the audio. Because you're in the ghost room.
So we gave it one last try to tell the story of whether Smith fired a shot.
It said that Peyton Bull Smith was the better shot, but it's really not known.
For the third time, the audio cut.
I literally just heard another voice. Swear to God.
We paused and listened back, and we couldn't believe our ears. Here's the playback.
It said that Peyton Bull Smith was the better shot, but it's really not known.
I'm ready to head on out.
All right, John. Thank you so much. I'm going to summarize this museum. Small, but packs a mighty punch.
It's great. We think so. Thanks for coming.
Thank you,
Glad
Tom.
to have you guys here.
For such a small town, this place has history literally on every street corner, and one can easily become overwhelmed. But we weren't going to let that happen to us. So we hired an expert, a man who lives, eats, and breathes Shepherdstown history, Jim Surkamp, where we met him at a one-of-a-kind dwelling made for some tiny people.
Jim, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's fun.
We got this little house right behind us. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
You got to think of a big idea, one little big idea, which is you learn by doing, which was believed by John Dewey, the philosopher, back in the 1920s. In 1928, the woman who had this built wrote him, and she said, I'm going to grab 19 student teachers and a dozen 5th and 6th graders, and we're going to build a miniature farmstead right here to prove your point.
Is it furnished?
Completely. The local ladies made the carpets inside. D.C. Thomas made the miniature chairs and everything, and there's pots and pans, and I call them hobbit pots.
So the whole little house was an experiment to get kids hands-on.
They learned how to mix cement.
A true community effort.
This is so Shepherdstown.
After the Battle of Antietam, Shepherdstown was used by the Confederate Army as a place to tend and care for their wounded and dying soldiers. Almost every building was converted into makeshift hospitals, and the stories of the battle between life and death are endless.
Jim, tell us a little bit about what we got behind us.
Well, this was called Mulder's Hall back then by someone named Mulder. Upstairs, that was the official sort of Confederate surgeon's headquarters for amputations. And Dr. Alexander Tinsley, he was amputating one after another and one after another, and he had no choice but to toss them out that window to avoid slipping on one. In the 1950s, after everybody thought that was nonsense, they're fixing the sidewalk and limb bones appear.
Oh. They had no place to put arms, legs, and out the window
There
and
was
go.
very little anesthetic for them. They were just strong whiskey.
Our last stop with Jim was at Elmwood Cemetery, the final resting place for many of the Confederate soldiers, where Jim had 2 more stories to tell.
What you have here is men who died in Shepherdstown during the Battle of Antietam. All of these were men of the Confederate Army. You see some that say unknown. The unknown have 2, maybe 3 unidentified people.
Then Jim told us a story about a soldier named R.W. Willis, who was buried here. After the Battle of Antietam, Willis was being cared for at a civilian house close by. Concerned and in the dark, his parents wrote to find out his condition. It read,
I beg you to inform us by telegram or otherwise the condition of our son, being that his mother would be able to come see him. He had already died of typhoid and wounds.
It sounds like one tragic story after another.
It's certainly written into our DNA of our country, but life goes on.
Jim, thank you so much. Your knowledge is indispensable.
Absolutely. Jim is a wealth of information. Thank you so much.
1, 2, 3, go. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Located in the heart of Shepherdstown, exists a place that is committed to taking the power of the pop to a whole new level, where the kernel reigns supreme and the flavors are bountiful. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the Mountaineer Popcorn Company.
Aaron, how do you come up with all the different flavors of popcorn?
We started writing down flavors that we thought were cool and unique and fun and everyone's favorites. Our staff, they create things, and it really comes down to what the customers want.
Well, Brian, I think there's only one thing left to do.
Okay, what am I doing here?
Go ahead and fill it to the top, Brian. Keep going.
You got schooled already.
Next, the kernels went into the giant hopper, which heats them up in oil, and we waited for the show to begin.
It'll start coming out. All the kernels, those are considered the old maids, and they'll just go right through these holes.
Aaron, I'm starting to hear the popping.
Here we go.
Whoa, that's
exciting.
Yeah. Look at that. It's bountiful.
It's masterful.
It's like a waterfall of popcorn.
We're going to go ahead and dump that.
Oh, yeah.
And let's get rid of these old maids.
All right.
Get rid of everything you can. Just keep going back and forth. Have you ever made popcorn before?
Yep, in the microwave.
Phase 1 was complete. Into a 10-gallon bucket went the popcorn, and off to the next machine went all of us.
What is this machine here?
This is our cooker. So all of our popcorn that have a hard shell will be made here. Today we're going to make Krabby Caramel.
Sounds good to me.
And we're going to start with some brown sugar.
Can I dump it right in?
Brian, there's a little step stool if you need it.
Nope, I got it.
Next went the caramel mix, oil, and lastly, some high-quality H2O. Nick finally did something and helped me with the lid. Then I turned on the motor to get our cook on.
Is this where we just stand and look at each other?
All right, I guess we're up to temperature. What does it need to be?
It needs to be 280.
All right,
Let's just make sure you got 280.
97.5, we're right there.
Got it.
280, yep.
Finally, the popcorn went into the flavor to bring it all home, and I was lost for words.
Where you can start smelling the buttery, delectable, caramel, beautiful, fragrant flowers, aroma.
Put the Old Bay seasoning in there.
Here comes your creation.
And boom, we were done.
Old Bay caramel popcorn.
That is addicting.
That's an excellent job,
Yeah.
buddy. All right, Aaron, Mountaineer Popcorn, a true treasure here in Shepherdstown, and we get to go home bearing gifts, don't we, Brian?
I guess there's only one thing left to do, and that's just pop on out of here and enjoy our little delectable nuggets.
Mountaineer Popcorn was well worth the stop and provided Brian and I with the proper road trip snack for the way home. So buckle up and grab the wheel and get lost in an area worth discovering. Until next time, I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer. Stay curious, my friends.
Safe travels. On this episode of Roadtrip Masters, I roll into a town that Katharine Hepburn called Paradise and harvest some succulent saltwater bivalve mollusks. We'll cook up scallops, gourmet style.
And then we're just gonna baste these.
Give them a little bath, jump inside a turtle.
Didn't seem like a great plan from the start.
And go on a quest to track down some aquatic avians.
They are right now chasing each other around the island.
So sit back, relax, and let me do the driving right here on Road Trip Masters. I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer.
We're teachers that have a passion for travel.
Cruising the highways and byways in our 1968 drop-top caddy.
We discover the places and people that make this nation great. We are Road Trip Masters. This week, I'm rolling drop-top style to the town of Old Saybrook, Connecticut, established in 1635 and located at the mouth of the Connecticut River. This town was an important location for coastal trade in the 17 and 1800s and provided a hub where riverboats could offload their cargo to ocean-going vessels. So it was only befitting to kick this episode off right at Saybrook Point, where the Connecticut River meets up with the Long Island Sound. That's when I checked into, you guessed it, the Saybrook Point Resort and Marina.
All right, Candace, absolutely gorgeous location. Tell me a little bit about the history.
Well, it's been around for hundreds of years. In the 1600s, this was the Pease House. It was always a little restaurant and inn. And then in the 50s, a group owned this, and it was called the Terramar, known to be the hot spot for a lot of the people that came up on their yachts from the Hamptons. Lots of stories about the Rat Pack coming here and hanging out. I'm told there was a little bit of gambling that might have gone on, too. So the main hotel, we have 80 rooms. They're all beautiful, luxury, spacious, really gorgeous rooms. Most of them have a water or river view. We have private balconies. You can sit outside, have your own space. We also have wood-burning fireplaces, which is really nice in the colder months.
Let's talk about the 3 stories.
3 stories guest house. Each room is named after a historical figure from Old Saybrook. One of our biggest suites in there is a Katharine Hepburn suite, who has a very big history here in Old Saybrook because Katharine Hepburn lived here for many, many years. The town just loved her. So we really felt that she had to have a place here in that house.
I think throughout this episode, we're going to find out a little bit more about her.
I'm sure you will.
That lighthouse out there on the point, why is it there?
So the lighthouse suite was built for Mary Tagliatella, the owner of the inn. Now we rent it out to people. It's a 1-bedroom suite. It's about 900 square feet. You couldn't get any more waterfront if you tried here.
You even have your own marina.
We do, yes. We have lots of seasonal members that stay here all summer, and they're here through October. It's a bustling place in the summer. We have a restaurant called Fresh Salt. It has indoor and outdoor dining, and obviously the seafood is as fresh as you can get it. You can sit out by the fire bar. You have a beautiful full-service spa. You can relax all day, sit in your robe. We have outdoor relaxation areas for people to go to. It's really spectacular. Or you can just lounge in the pools and take in the sun and the view. It really is a place to come and unwind and relax.
Candace, I think I'm going to grab a drink at that outside bar, take a seat up there on that upper deck, and just enjoy that view you talked about.
I think you should. Enjoy.
After unloading the land yacht at Saybrook Point Resort, I cruised uptown to a restaurant that was once a movie theater and has been dishing up oceanic cuisine for over 15 years. A place where quality reigns supreme. Lives Oyster Bar and Restaurant.
All right, John. Lives. What are we cooking up today?
Today we're gonna do some seared sea scallops with a summer corn and fava bean succotash. Everything we try to do source as local as possible. These are coming out of Rhode Island right now. Sometimes we will get them out of Connecticut, depending on where the boats are coming from.
Excellent. Well, let's dive in. Let's get these things cooked up. They look beautiful. Now, kosher salt, sea salt?
Kosher salt, always, but everyone's different. Some people use sea salt. I find sea salt is really good for finishing a dish.
Now, John, you're going to put them in there.
Yep.
How many minutes per side?
It all depends on a couple of things. How hot is your pan? And then how big are your scallops? These scallops are 1020s. I want to get a nice, crisp bottom side, nice, hard sear, but it's probably about 2 minutes a side, I would say.
Now, John, 1020s, what is that lingo for?
So that means it's 10 to 20 scallops per pound.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So succotash is traditionally beans, corn, peppers, and you could kind of do whatever else you want with that. Then I have some tasso ham, which adds a little bit of smokiness. So I'm gonna get the veg going. Always start with a little bit of butter.
Oh, yeah.
Life is better with butter.
And John, there you go. Salt, pepper, and butter so far.
That's it. Simple stuff. All this can be done at home.
Next, in went some peppers, zucchini, corn, fava beans, and tasso ham. This was looking good.
Now, Chef, as those scallops are cooking,
Yep.
what are you looking for before you flip?
See how it's getting brown on that bottom side there? See that?
Oh, yeah.
Then Chef tossed the scallops in the oven and threw some veg stock into the succotash, which emulsifies the sauce to a creamy perfection.
But you see how that's coming together perfect? You like that?
Beautiful.
We're gonna let that sit. Now we're gonna check on our scallops.
All right.
Which should be just about ready.
These scallops were looking good.
Oh, there you're getting that crust on that, just a little bit on that other side. I see the technique. All right.
Take a little bit of butter.
I like where this is going.
So that butter is gonna brown in the pan.
It's almost like a brown butter sauce.
Exactly. So then we're just gonna baste these with that butter. And that's gonna give it a nice buttery flavor. And that's it. We're pretty much good to go here.
Chef John sprinkled on some fresh chives and parsley, then plated up his masterpiece.
All right, so we're just gonna make a nice line right down the center here.
I mean, you got corn, you got ham, you got the fava beans, you got the peppers. All ingredients accessible from a grocery store.
Absolutely. We're gonna put our scallops right on top.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Do you see like how they're a little spongy?
Yeah, I
That's
see that.
perfect. That means they're not overcooked.
Tender.
Tender.
Last but not least, the ginger butter sauce. I couldn't wait to sink my teeth into this culinary work of art.
And that was done in 5 minutes.
Yeah, with you cooking it. Okay, very excited to taste this dish. You know, the brown butter sauce, the fava beans, that tasso ham sounds to me like a flavor profile that is unstoppable. These are some of the most tender scallops I ever had. That brown butter sauce combined with the ginger sauce, absolutely incredible. And the hidden surprise in this one is that tasso ham. Awesome. When in Old Saybrook, you know to come to Libs.
So this is your standard French beurre blanc.
Julia Childs would be proud of you.
Of course.
Oysters have been a love of mine for a long time. I always wanted to get wet down and dirty and experience what it's like to raise and harvest these oceanic treats.
We're in the Oyster River. Give us a little background, what's going on?
Back in the 1800s, this was a very well-producing oyster bed. A lot of people made their livings off this.
I love oysters. I need to know from the ground up how the heck we do this. I guess we're gonna get in some of that muck right there and find that out.
I think so.
All right, now I didn't come prepared by no means. I see you wore the boots. Man, I'm down about almost like a foot. I see Larry's not coming in though. Larry's the smart guy.
This is a whole bunch of oysters kind of growing on top of each other. Whether they are male or female, they will release liquid into the water.
Now, what do they call that liquid?
Sperm.
Oh, okay.
The egg becomes fertilized, and pretty quickly it becomes a very, very tiny, fully formed oyster shell. But that little oyster shell is so tiny, it needs something to hold on to. And so it looks for a harder substrate, which we call culch. And by doing that, we can grow oyster on top of oyster on top of oyster.
So even an empty oyster shell left open can collect some of that fluid and grow.
That's it.
So, Shannon, do we have a spot where we could go where we see how they're produced for the public?
I think so. Let's go.
If I can get out of this muck bed here.
But before we did that, all of us had a very important job to do. A job that is crucial to the survival of the oysters.
What are we doing out here on the boat?
We're going to throw some shell out in the Oyster River here to help collect the spat. They're basically clam shells. Spat will stick to that.
And then an oyster will grow.
Exactly.
Then Shannon and the crew got to work spreading the shells out into the water. But since I was a newbie, I figured I would stand by and learn.
Go ahead. Everybody's out working me.
Okay, maybe I just can't keep up.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now, but I'm gonna try to jump in somewhere. That was a workout.
Yes, it was. So we do this once a year, every year. And that helps prepare the beds before spawning season. And we're excited to be able to bring this river back to life.
I'm just glad that we had help today.
Next, I caught up with George and Mike from the Indian River Shellfish Company, who raise these wonderful creatures from farm to table. If you ever had a raw oyster, chances are a team like this made it all possible. First stop, the nursery, where this tedious process all begins.
These are all baby oysters.
You gotta be kidding me.
So we just got these last week, actually. They've already doubled in size already. We'll just keep adding to the shell and getting bigger as the years go.
Mike continued to show the various sizes of the cages that the oysters grow into. But to really see the end result, we had to pull in a catch for ourselves.
Now, George, we just can't lift these things up on our own. Mike, how many pounds do you think this weighs right now?
150, 200, could be more. Our bigger cages, when they get filled with mud, are probably 400 or 500 pounds.
Off with the top of the cage and shovel the oysters for sorting. Now, the fun begins.
I'm going to get you a pair of gloves, because if you're going to join in this process, you're going to have just as much fun as we are.
I just found my pair of gloves, George. George? It's almost like we're panning for gold.
Yeah, same thing, just not as much money. This is our 3-inch gauge for legal measurement, so that's over 3 inches. This is a good oyster. So what we do is we break that off, that one off, this one, that one.
So we're not hurting the oyster at all?
Not hurting the oyster at all.
I don't know what to do with this one.
I quickly found out that the scavengers of the sea were waiting for a tasty snack. The oysters then are sent down the funnel, where they are chipped down to size. Now, the moment I've been waiting for.
Tasting time.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, shuck away. Now, George, you put yours down on the table there, I noticed.
Yeah, just on the edge.
You're a fast mother shucker, I can tell you that. Oh, yeah, here we go, boys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Excellent. And these guys are so tender. The salt concentration is much, much more than what we get back home in the stores. It's amazing how they taste totally different than from home. George, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the education on this. Keep on oystering and keep delivering this fine quality product right into this gut.
They're still spawning. So you get that little, like, creaminess?
Oh, God.
Milky taste.
Some gonads floating around in there.
I wish I didn't know that. Thank you.
Not many towns in America can lay claim to the title of paradise, but that's what one famous resident once called Old Saybrook. So it was only befitting that I drop by a historical landmark that has its roots in music and theater for well over a century.
So the Cape, why does it have the name Robin?
Katharine Hepburn is one of Old Saybrook's most famous residents. She had a summer home here in the borough of Fenwick for many years with her family. And when she passed on, this was a way for the community to celebrate and honor her. And so with the blessing of her estate, it has been named the Katharine Hepburn Cultural Arts Center.
She had a pretty incredible life here in Old Saybrook. But one event in 1938, the hurricane that came up the coast, tell us a little bit about that.
She just felt something was happening, something was different with this storm. So she encouraged everyone to leave and go to higher ground to stay at a neighbor's home. And her home in Fenwick, which the family inhabited for many years, literally washed into Long Island Sound.
Brett, what's the Cape all about?
Kate is all things music, theater, opera, comedy, education programming, camps. It is a really great place for the community to celebrate the arts, be part of the arts. 1911, this was built as a theater originally, and it was many things in between. We're really proud that it has that historic charm, but also is pretty contemporary in all of its production.
Next, Robin took me on a tour of their Katharine Hepburn Museum, where we got hands-on with some of the items from Kate's incredible life.
Hey, Robin, we got a new spot, new location, and you have a new shirt on.
That's right, one example of the merchandise in our gift shop.
Let's talk about some of the artifacts here at the museum.
We have an LP, which is the cast dialogue record from On Golden Pond, and it's autographed by Katharine Hepburn, Jane Fonda, and Dabney Coleman.
There's also a plaque for Academy Award nomination.
When she was nominated for the African Queen, her certificate of nomination from the Motion Picture Academy has been embossed on a plaque.
So you got a couple self-portraits down there as well.
So she would paint her own portrait. We have several items from her personal wardrobe, and you know she loved to wear pants, and she was a statement when she wore pants. Lots of hats because she always protected her face from the sun. These are letters, in particular these are from 1935 when she's writing to mother and father and her sisters and brothers about what's happening in her career.
Very dedicated family person. And I'm sure we got her signature somewhere, probably right there on the back.
There you go.
This is an actual script from Little Women.
And this was a pivotal film role for her. She was so beloved after this movie came out and got rave reviews.
His eyes are kind. An eye like him, though. He does bark at you so. That's why I never was an actor. This is the creme de la creme right here in TV, an Emmy Award. Love Among the Ruins?
Right. Love Among the Ruins is a television movie that she made with George Cukor, who was her very good friend and a director who had helped her throughout her career from the very onset with Bill of Divorcement.
Well, thank you, Robin, for having us out here at the Cape. Such a beautiful, I'm going to call it national treasure. Thanks for everything you guys do and preserving the legacy of Katharine Hepburn.
Old Saybrook is a special place for many reasons, and one of those reasons is its aquatic bird life. This is a realm where I have absolutely no experience, but being a teacher for over 30 years, I knew I had to become the student to better understand the various species of waterfowl that flourish in these parts.
Jessica, tell me, why is there a bird store in Old Saybrook?
Wild Birds Unlimited of Old Saybrook is here because there's a real passion for birds and nature in general here in Old Saybrook. What we want to do is we want to spread the joy of bird feeding, and also quite therapeutic for a lot of people.
Now, you also are well connected. So, Jim, give us a little insight.
The Connecticut Audubon Society is a 123-year-old organization that is dedicated to conserving birds, other biodiversity, other wildlife. We're very excited to be located here in the mouth of the Connecticut River area. The Connecticut River, it's just one of the gems of New England.
From there, I hit the open water with Beth, an ornithologist from the Connecticut Audubon Society, to get up close and personal with a few of Old Saybrook's special birds.
All right, Beth, here we are, out in the middle of the water. What are we going to be seeing on the island behind us?
This island behind us is Monongahela Island, and out here are American oyster catchers. There's 6 pairs of these birds that come here every year to breed, nest, have their eggs. They lay their eggs right in the sand, and that's why we put up fencing to protect the birds, so that way their eggs are safe from getting stepped on when people can't see them.
So do these oyster catchers actually catch oysters?
They do. So they have this very long red bill, and it's very specialized.
What's the importance of Saybrook to the bird life and bird community?
A lot of these islands were never really developed, so the habitat was preserved. So this whole area, these mud flats, these tidal sandbars create all kinds of foraging habitat for all our migratory shorebirds that are coming from as far as the Arctic and then are heading as far south as South America. So right now we're standing on an exposed mud flat. So as the tide goes out, expose these flats, which are very important to the birds. A lot of our small little shorebirds that are migrating through will root around in the sand here looking for little invertebrates. We have some willets over here that you can see are just in the, I see a bit of shallow water. They're flying over to us right now. There's a couple coming right here.
Huh. Quite an exciting adventure. Beth, I'm just glad there's people out there like you representing the Audubon Society and preserving these creatures for all of us to enjoy. Thank you so much.
Hope you enjoyed yourself.
These guys are laughing. What the Hey, again, you gotta get out of the shot.
Located in the nearby town of Essex is the Connecticut River Museum, whose main mission is to tell stories of the Connecticut River and its people. The museum is tasked with the important role of collecting and protecting the manuscripts, books, art, and artifacts of regional significance. But I was here to find out about one particular exhibit, a historical invention that mesmerized me since I was a child. Now, one can simply drive to this museum, but I decided to do it differently and hired Captain Rich to cruise up the mighty Connecticut River and arrive in style.
Tom, let's get to the creme de la creme. The turtle right behind us. You know, as a kid growing up, I would read about the turtle, but had no idea that it was built around these areas.
It was built by a guy named David Bushnell in 1776.
This is really the first manned submarine.
It is the first submarine to actually make an attack in wartime.
Now you guys have a cutaway view of the actual size of the turtle and how it operates.
And you can get inside if you'd like.
All right, that's what I want to do. Let's go. This is an honor for me.
David Bushnell had the idea of creating a delivery mechanism for a bomb packed onto the back of the turtle here. British warships had gathered in New York Harbor. So the idea of the attack was as follows: submerge the vessel at the foot of Manhattan to go underneath the flagship, and with that auger at the top.
Oh, right here.
There you go, Nick. Screw that auger into the bottom of the warship. That bomb on the back of the thing would be pulled loose, and at the same time, a clock designed by a local clockmaker would start a countdown, giving him time to escape before the blast went off.
So what happened on the actual mission?
What happened was that they misjudged the tides, and he spent the next 2.5 hours cranking like mad on the propeller. He was himself flushed out of New York Harbor. People on deck spied him, and a boat was sent out after him. And so what he decided to do was let the bomb go from the turtle, and it blew up causing a distraction that allowed him to escape and get back to his compatriots on the Manhattan shore. It was unsuccessful, alas. David Bushnell is credited with inventing the marine propeller. The one in front was used to make it go forward and backward. The one on top was designed to change its depth underwater.
And so I'm controlling the rudder here, and I got my front propeller.
That's it.
And trying.
No, I think you're trying to look up through those portholes to see if you're close to the bottom of this immense warship. He was very interested in helping the Revolutionary War effort.
A pioneer in pyrotechnics, I'm going to say.
Yep.
Well, so glad that I came out here to the Connecticut River Museum. I knocked one off a childhood bucket list. I'm inside the turtle, got to operate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Come again.
The Connecticut River Museum was the perfect stop before the journey home. It provided all the answers to all the curiosities I had about America's first submarine. Until next time, I'm Nick Kessler. Stay curious, my friends. Safe travels. On this episode of Roadtrip Masters, I cruise into a place that was known as the town that once saved Christmas, and travel to the Grand Canyon that is located on the East Coast. I'll get my cowboy on, so I just hang on to both of these. Hit the lumber trail.
Nothing but ambiance here and education.
And chow down at a restaurant that has been owned and operated for 3 generations.
I love what I saw on the menu. Medium well. Order chicken.
So sit back, relax, and let me do the driving right here on Roadtrip Masters. I'm Nick Kessler.
And I'm Brian Fulmer.
We're teachers that have a passion for travel.
Cruising the highways and byways in our 1968 drop-top caddy.
We discover the places and people that make this nation great. We are Roadtrip Masters. On this week's episode, I'm riding solo. So as Brian enjoys his time out west with his family, I'm traveling to the north central part of Pennsylvania, to the town of Wellsboro. Settled in 1806 and incorporated in 1830, Wellsboro is located in Tioga County and was named in honor of Mary Wells, who was the wife of one of the original settlers, Benjamin Wister Morris. Wellsboro was also the site of the first factories where light bulbs were mass-produced. But before I explored this area some more, it was only appropriate that I set up base camp at one of the historic landmarks in these parts, the iconic Penn Wells Hotel and Lodge.
Claire, driving through Pennsylvania on Route 15, I got such a great sense of calm that I never had before. And next thing you know, I get off the exit ramp, I'm headed towards Wellsboro, and I pull into this absolutely stunning main street. And here we are at the Penn Wells Hotel. Tell us a little bit about it.
So the original structure here on this corner that we're standing in right now was built in 1869. But this lobby was completely redesigned in 1926. South American mahogany, the tile floor, the light fixtures, all are from that original remodel in 1926, even the fireplace.
But you also have that dining room.
The dining room's a great place here. It has been an integral part of this community pretty much since the building opened.
Not only do you have that classic lobby, but you got this beautiful American flag. Made out of what?
Made out of Christmas ornaments.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they were all made right here in Wellsboro.
Huh. Things don't change much at Wellsboro, do they?
The good things stay the same. The things that need to change, we change.
How many rooms do you have here at the main hotel?
So right now we have about 60 rooms available for guests. Originally there would have been about 100 rooms, but modern guests want things a little bit different than they did in 1926. So some of them now have combinations of the bedroom and a sitting room. So you have a choice of queens, kings, or 2 double beds.
So Claire, I said the main hotel, but you have another building not far away.
So in the 1950s, everybody wanted to travel in their fancy cars. Motels came into fashion. So the hotel company built the Penn Wells Motel. That's morphed over the years. It's now the Penn Wells Lodge, and that has just about 80 rooms available. Between the 2 buildings, we have something for just about everyone. Main Street, Wellsboro, is famous, first of all, for its gas lights. We've had gas lights on Main Street since 1929, and the existing lights went up in 1968. We like to say in Wellsboro, the lights are always on. Within just a few blocks of our hotel, there are multiple restaurants, lots of mom and pop shops. In fact,
Wellsboro doesn't have a single store that is a large chain. Everything on our main street is mom and pop.
This sums up what Roadtrip Masters is all about. I never felt such a sense of comfort coming into a town and checking in to this beautiful hotel. Claire, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
After establishing my digs at the Penn Wells, my next stop was literally just across the street and not even a block down the road to the Steakhouse, a restaurant that has been in business since 1957 and has never left the family for 3 generations. All right, Andor, I think you're the first Andor I've ever met in my life. I love the name. Tell us what we're going to experience today here at the Steakhouse.
We're going to do a version of a surf and turf, a grilled filet mignon, and we're going to do pan-seared scallops for you. Basically, what you want to do is you want to take your filet. It's already been hand-cut, ready to go. We're going to start it on the grill. Now, what we have here is what we call a glaze. And basically, what we do is we glaze the steak as it's cooking so that it imparts flavor.
I never saw a filet prepared this way. We didn't season it with salt or pepper or anything.
No.
It's just that sauce.
Right. Well, because the salt and pepper is in the sauce.
So basically, the sauce is just the pan drippings from the prime rib.
Correct.
Chef, I got to be honest, I'm a little bit leery because I'm used to sprinkling, rubbing that.
Well, this is something that distinguishes us from everybody else.
Andor, I'm going to trust you on this one. I figure since 1957, the restaurant's been here. They got to be doing something right.
Exactly right.
All right.
So now what I'm going to do is, as that's working, I'm going to crank up my pan for the pan-seared scallops.
Looks like a number 8 cast iron.
It is.
All right.
What I've done is I've sprayed it with a pan coating.
Pop Kessler would put bacon fat in there.
Bacon fat sometimes will hide the flavor of the seafood.
Now, Chef, what about the scallops? Are you going to season those or?
Nope, I'm gonna go straight into the pan. One thing about a cast iron is because you constantly use it and you're not really washing it, so it's seasoned already.
First, no salt and pepper on the filet. And now, no seasoning for the scallops? Is Andor playing games with me? I guess we'll have to find out.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the scallop. You get that nice sear. They will break very easily, so you have to have a little bit of gentleness to it. Take this.
Oh yeah, here comes those sear lines. Beautiful. So now, Andor, you want to glaze the other side or no?
No, because if I try to glaze the other side, I'm gonna lose the crosshatch. I'm gonna lose the markings on it. That's part of the je ne sais quoi, of the filet.
And the scallops, you can overcook these guys and they could be rubberized.
Oh, absolutely.
Not here.
No.
After that, Chef Andor whipped up some broccoli, parboiled and cooked to perfection in a mix of chopped garlic and butter. Oh, yeah. The scallops came out of the pan and the filet off the grill. Then, boom, I had a surf and turf masterpiece. Very curious about this. We're off to a good start. Anytime you can easily cut a filet with a butter knife, that's a good sign. That's tender, Chef. That's fantastic. A little scallop time. I doubted Chef back in the kitchen, but I'll tell you what, when in Wellsboro, the Steakhouse, and Chef Andor's technique of the way he prepares this, that's an A+ in my book. Show him my white pasty gut. Yeah. Not far outside of Wellsboro, and located along historic Route 6, lies a chocolate shop unlike any other, whose main mission is to provide vocational training and employment to adults with special needs. I was excited to get inside and find out more about this one-of-a-kind operation. Okay, Amy, Highland Chocolates. I love what it's all about.
We employ 11 people. Everyone has a special talent and skill, and they make all the chocolate that you see here by hand.
Well, it looks great here in the showroom, but I can't wait to get back there, get hands-on, and start making some chocolate. All right, Jay, what are we going to be making here?
We're going to be probably making a mess. That is our favorite thing to make every day. But we're going to see some graham crackers that are coated, have some peanut butter fudge being made, and caramel being weighed out, as well as one of our most favorite barks, our Cherry Springs Dark Skies bark. This is your first job.
All right.
Todd, would you like to explain what you're doing?
Coating graham crackers.
You're coating graham crackers. The chain pulls the chocolate up here and drops it down that it makes a nice curtain of chocolate.
Jay, just looking at this thing, it gets your taste buds salivating.
Yeah, I know. You want to have bold chocolate first thing in the morning.
Next, Todd took a little break and had me take over.
Just lay that little guy right down there. Give it some space. When do I hit it? Now, Jay?
Yep, you're doing great.
After that was done, we went to the other end of the line and met Mike, who was taking the coated graham crackers and packing them 2 by 2. I wanted to start eating these chocolate delights, but I figured I would play by the rules and lend a hand in the production.
I kind of hope I can do this. Now I can see, Mike, why you go one at a time. I'm struggling with 2. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do, Mike? I'm going to do your method one at a time here. There you go. Okay, I got it. That's what I got. Yeah. I love those apples.
And the chocolate tour continues. Up next, creating some caramel.
Over here, we have another Mike today.
Another Mike, all right.
Yep, is weighing caramel and rolling it into a bowl, and then he's forming it into these little circular trays.
So what's the magic number we're looking for?
0.3 of an ounce, and there it is.
Guy's right on.
Yep.
So I weighed the caramel, gave it a roll, and into the tray it went to harden.
Good job. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to turn it back over to the expert. You ready? Yeah. All right.
Then I dove into creating one of Highland Chocolate's staple products, the Cherry Springs Dark Skies Bark, named in honor of Cherry Springs State Park, a place that boasts the darkest skies in the U.S. east of the Mississippi and is a stargazer's paradise. So I spread out the chocolate nice and evenly for the sky, then added some stars and galaxy dust to bring it all home.
There it is, baby.
Then the bark went into the fridge to cool. Once it was set, it was time to slice up my own piece of the solar system.
See the little starry scape right there.
Let's see what's going on with peanut butter over here.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, Chase? Are you making the fudge?
You know, something about this place just brought me into the present. The fantastic aroma, the friendly faces of the workers, and the simple purity of making something by hand for someone to enjoy. It's moments like these where you find out how a small shop can play an important role in the bigger picture in your community.
Well, ladies, I love the mission here, what you got going on here at Highland Chocolates. Thank you so much, and your employees, absolutely outstanding.
As we say, it's extraordinary chocolates by extraordinary people.
It's almost like you want to put your mouth right underneath this bowl.
Wellsboro is known as the town that saved Christmas, and I was curious about this statement and needed to find out more. That's when I came across a tiny museum that was just getting established. But let's not be mistaken, this tiny museum has many extraordinary stories to tell.
All right, Skip, here we are in Wellsboro, Main Street, and we got something special, don't we?
Yes, we do. Hitler was at war. There were countries that made glass Christmas tree ornaments. They were hand manufactured in Austria, Switzerland, Germany, but we couldn't buy them from there. All Christmas tree ornaments, 90% of them manufactured and sold in the world, were manufactured right here in downtown Wellsboro.
Growing up in the early 70s, this guy was on every Christmas tree and outdoor light, right?
Yes, that is a C7, and that's what set your Christmas tree on fire.
Yes,
they
that's
were
correct.
very hot, but before that, it was candles, so.
Yeah, you're better off with these. But I think the relatable thing is this iconic classic.
We had machines that were dedicated to making the glass for the Christmas tree ornament. We had an entire decorating department, and they silvered the inside and lacquer coated in many different colors.
Christmas tree comes down, you always save the box. You put the ornaments in, so these boxes lasted, and then they got passed down generation to generation, and that's what just creates that nostalgia, all developed and manufactured right here in Wellsboro.
That's correct. If you have one of these boxes or a red one that looks like this, and down in the corner it says save this cardboard, that's a World War II box. Very collectible.
Check those Christmas ornament boxes. Send us an email, let us know. Do you have it?
Wellsboro's glass industry also made light bulbs, including these theater bulbs that Johnny Cash famously smashed on stage at the Ryman Theater. And take a look at this incredible bulb.
And that's one from Thomas Edison's era, 1916.
Over 105 years old.
Yeah. Don't drop that.
I'm nervous now holding it. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
Next, Skip took me on a field trip to see the actual machines that were used to make the light bulbs and Christmas ornaments.
All right, Skip, we got the behemoths back there.
We do.
So those are the ribbon machines. I got some raw material right here.
Soda lime glass, and it's put into the furnace to be remelted.
So now that liquid glass comes down into the ribbon machine, and what are you holding here?
This is a piece of the ribbon. The glass stream is pulled through 2 rolls, and it forms a gob of glass. And then the light bulb is blown into a mold. The mold's open back up. The light bulb is still hooked, and it'll go through a cooling process, and a little mechanical hammer, boom, 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 just barely touches that glass, and it cracks it off from here. That delivers it to a conveyor belt and on through the annealing leer, and on down to packing or frosting or wherever it goes from there.
Skip, thank you so much. It's because of people like you preserving the history, saving these machines from the scrapyard, that future generations can learn from the history and the pride of Wellsboro.
Just outside of the town of Wellsboro sits a massive 50-mile-long, 1,000-foot-deep monster set in the spectacular Pine Creek Gorge. The Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania is a true wonderment of nature, and I was going to explore it via Old Cover Wagon Tours.
All right, here we are, ready to go into the canyon, anticipating the falls at the end of this trip. Apparently, we have a hike upwards. We're going to see what it's all about.
As we trekked into the bowels of the canyon, our tour guide Jim explained how in the early 1900s, the entire landscape was clear-cut and devoid of any vegetation. In an effort to restore the forest, the Civilian Conservation Corps planted 6 million trees by hand and restored the habitat back to greater health. Jim's grandfather was a part of the cause and would wake up every morning hiking up and down the mountain, scattering seeds by hand, which in time grew into the lush forest it is today.
Jim, we're up here at the top. Not only was your grandfather an integral part on bringing back the canyon and the forest, but you also grew up in these parts here.
Yes, I did. I spent pretty much my entire childhood down in the canyon here. This was an old Indian trail. We used to run up and down that trail back when we were kids, but not anymore. There was no steps or railings or anything. And if you happened to get caught down in here and a storm came in, it could get pretty dangerous down in here. There have been a lot of accidents. A few people have even lost their life around here where we're at.
You can hear it's just a power.
Oh yeah, big time.
I guess there's only one thing left to do. We got to hike back down, don't we?
Yes, we do. A lot easier going down than coming up.
After we made it back to the wagons, I took some time to meet a special team of workers who, without their help, this tour wouldn't exist.
But we got our special guys that get us in and out. Tell us about them, Brad.
These animals can pull as much as a tractor and trailer, not as far, but they could pull the load at no problem.
True workhorses, I'm going to say.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Can I help you hitch them up?
If you'd like to, Nick, you can.
Well, you tell me what to do, because my horse experience is absolutely zero.
This is the horse, and this is called the horse's ass back here.
I see it. I'm not going to get kicked, am I?
No, you're fine.
Then Sharon, the wagon master, showed how it's done, parading these magnificent creatures back to the wagon. Now, it's my turn.
So what do I do?
So, you ever kissed before?
No.
Okay, practice kissing then. Give me a little kiss.
Oh.
There you
All
go.
right. Hey, okay. I know what you meant now.
If you want to go right, you're going to pull right. If you want to go left, you're going to pull left.
Okay. Got it. All right, so I'm going to pull a little slight tug left. How am I doing, Brad?
Good. You can hang to the right a little bit, and we're going to step them over the tongue.
Okay. Am I doing good?
You're fine. You're fine. I don't think we're going to hire you tomorrow, but...
I wouldn't hire me either.
You're going to pull left, and then over here. You're pulling both at the same time. Now you got too much.
Oh, I did?
Yep. How about if I hitch him up?
All right, you hitch him up. I messed things up.
Sensing things were going awry, Brad took it from there, hitching up our all-star steeds for the journey back. The Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania is a true gem within the Keystone State, a place that is rich in history, beauty, and life. And thanks to the people like Jim, his grandfather, and the rest of the folks at Old Covered Wagon Tours, it will be appreciated for generations to come.
We're in quite a pickle. I'm sandwiched back here.
Yeah.
You didn't cut, did you?
On my way out of town and in the next county, I heard of a museum that was right up my alley. The Pennsylvania Lumber Museum, whose main mission is to inform its visitors of PA's reckless lumbering past while learning to care for the forests of the future.
Josh, here we are
Pennsylvania Lumber Museum. What was Pennsylvania like back in the 1700s?
It's estimated that Pennsylvania was 90% forest. The name literally means Penn's Woods. It was estimated that 90% went down to only 30% of the state was left as forests. We talked not only about the rise of the lumber industry, but then also the rise of the conservation movement and the movement to bring these forests back and to sustainably manage them as well.
But you also have other exhibits out there that show how things were done. Let's head out there and check that out.
In our engine house, we have our Shea locomotive built in 1912. And the thing with the Shea is that it's a geared locomotive. It's almost like four-wheel drive. It's slower, but it can handle hills and uneven terrain. And this is what really helped bring logging to the railroad. So what we have here is our recreated lumber camp, kind of circa 1910. And even though the railroads were in, you still needed the horses to help get the logs down the mountains to the tracks.
The saw filer.
They sharpen saws all day, almost every day.
Another critical one, the blacksmith.
Yeah, so these logging camps would be pretty out there in the woods. And it was helpful to have a blacksmith on site to help make repairs.
And lastly here, we got the jobber.
So the jobber pretty much ran the camp.
All this talk about lumbering and timbering and camps, we got to see the beast that sawed all this timber down. Like a fancy lock.
Yeah, high-tech security.
So Josh, here we are, the Big Daddy saw blade right here. The logs come in on this carrier, correct?
Yes, this saw carriage would move down and pick up the logs after they come in, get loaded onto here against the circular saw, which would spit out the cut planks.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I mean, you put that in, you saw off your planks, drops on the roller feed table there, out it goes for air drying. And if you look at the saw blade, massive.
One of the advantage of the circular saw blades, those teeth can be replaced. You can just replace it and keep going and going.
The Pennsylvania Lumber Museum was the perfect stop before the long trek home, and their mission will preserve these Pennsylvania forests for generations to come. So buckle up and grab the wheel and get lost in an area worth discovering. Until next time, I'm Nick Kessler. Stay curious, my friends. Safe travels.